do it. Do it.
I did.
Okay.
Okay, not that one.
There we go. It's sideways.
See, it has to be this way because it's an iPhone.
Oh.
It has to be this way. Look.
Oh, you're right. All right. Okay.
First, I think it's just because it's an iPhone.
Meanwhile, man,
Two, but they're probably shoot.
what happened? Did it break? Did it break? So what does that mean? We have to hold it? Take turns? Huh?
One second. Will you hold it just for now?
We had 16 people, now we only have
They're coming back.
Do you
mind if I grab
which is an acknowledgement that we can break things in the world, and a prayer that we have the wisdom to put them back together. And then we're moving to the month of Elul, which is the last month of the Hebrew year. And each day at Elul, we sound the shofar in the morning and recite Slichot at night, and beg God for the gift of renewal. To look inside and find all that is broken within, all that we have projected into the world that's destructive, that is sour, that is broken, and seek to fix it each night of Elul. And that culminates with Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of a season of judgment. And to come to the synagogue and stand before judgment and to acknowledge that we are broken and flawed, but we have within us a vision of who we can be and the world as we can have it. And then 10 days of intensive internal work lead to Yom Kippur, which is the most intensive, the most extreme day of the Jewish year, where on one day we acknowledge our mortality, our finitude, our limits. We acknowledge that there's no excuse, that the dreams that haven't been pursued and the plans that haven't been fulfilled and the ideals that haven't been made real, they're urgent, they need to be done now, and the words that need to be spoken, the words of thank you, and I'm sorry, and I love you, need to be spoken, and spoken now. And out of the intensity of Yom Kippur, 4 days later you build a sukkah, a halfway house. Can't go back to regular life right away, it's too intense, but for a beginning, for about a week, we sit outside, and we smell the air, and we feel the world about us, and give thanks for the gifts of life. And it all culminates tonight. And Yom Kippur Torah is so very heavy. Life is so very heavy that on Simchat Torah we acknowledge that the power of renewal is ours. That the end is only going to be rewound to the beginning, and we have a chance to start again. Breshit, we'll read tonight. Breshit bara Elohim. We can recreate a world and recreate ourselves again. And tonight we'll dance and sing and celebrate the gifts of Torah. Well, let's begin with some words of prayer. If everyone will stand up and join the cantor Baruch Hu and then Shema. Let's join together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Simchat Shalom Aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Everyone can stand and take a moment of quiet personal prayer as we begin this holiday of Simchat Torah. Adonai Shvatai Tifrach. Is anyone saying the Kaddish for your loved one? Please remain standing. Everyone else sit down. You get down. Kaddash Alma Divrach, Yamlis Malchut, Chayim, Yegel Obed Yisrael, Agalam Isman Karim, Yeshtem Rabban Farach, Yama Be'amai Barach, Yishtabach, Arvid Rabbi Naseri, Tadari, 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 Ve'elim Kol Chata, V'Shivata, Tishtabach, Yeshtem Rabban Chayim, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru Amen. Say shalom b'mormach, v'yaseh shalom amen. V'al kol Yisrael. Please be seated. Welcome once again. Chag Sameach to everyone. This pandemic has forced us to do things in a very different way than we ever wanted to do before. We found ways to do it. And tonight we're going to celebrate Torah with a celebration of Jewish stories and Jewish song. We're going to begin that celebration with a dear friend we'd like to welcome, Karen Golden, to Valley Beth Shalom. Karen, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see everybody, including your feet. I've been on the virtual stage for the last 18 months, and today is my first day worrying about what to wear from the waist down. So this is really exciting for me to actually see people from the waist down and not just your face. So I'm not going to remind anyone that you need to mute yourselves. You can be as loud as you like. And also I can say, if you need to use the bathroom, you'll have to look and find where it is because it's not in your own house. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, it's so wonderful to be here celebrating with all of you. When I think about Simchat Torah, the first story that comes to my mind is actually a story that took place on Yom Kippur. My daughter, who's now 26 years old, was only 18 months old. And we were celebrating the holiday with Reb Zalman. My daughter and I and my husband were in the top room with all the kids. And then we were told that it was time for the Torah service and that all the kids could come upstairs. Now when I say upstairs, the service was taking place in the grand ballroom of UCLA. And we came upstairs to the grand ballroom, and the first thing I noticed is that there was pipe and drape around the outside of the ballroom to make it feel more intimate. We walked out with the other parents during the Torah service, and scrolls were taken out of the ark, and my beautiful red-headed, chubby daughter was in my arms. And when she saw the Torah scrolls, she became so excited, she started yelling, "Mommy, it's the Torah! It's the Torah!" And she was yelling really loud, and I was extremely embarrassed. And so I decided it was important for me to take her out of that room as soon as I possibly could. So I held her in my arms, and we walked toward the back of the room. Unbeknownst to me, she grabbed onto the pipe and drape. And as we were walking out of the room, she still held on, and I heard a crashing sound as the piping drape fell to the ground. And to my horror, I turned around and saw that all the eyes were on us. Reb Zalman stood at the front of the sanctuary and he motioned for us to come back in. And I was so embarrassed. I held my daughter in my arms and I walked back up the aisle. And he looked at me and he smiled. And then he held my daughter's hands in his own. And he looked out at the congregation and he said, "We should all be so excited to see the Torah." And I'll never forget that day because it reminded me of how important it is to see our Torah. So I'd like to now move into a traditional story. And although this is a story that is usually told on Shmini Atzeret, we just finished our special day of celebration for rain. And for me, especially this year, this story resonates for both Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. It goes like this. Long ago in the land of Judah, it didn't rain for days, for weeks, for months. All the grapes on the vine, they shriveled up. The grass died. The leaves from the trees fell, and the people didn't know what to do. There was such a drought, just like we're experiencing right now in this place. The people went to the synagogue to pray for rain, and this is what they said. Rain, 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 rain. And if you'd like to join me, you can join me in the chant for rain. Rain, 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 rain. You can all join me. Rain, 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 rain. Rain, 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 rain. And the people thought perhaps they should say the prayer in Hebrew because perhaps God would hear them better. So they sing, Geshem, 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 Geshem. It still did not rain. The people thought perhaps they should be a little more polite about it. So they sang, Geshem, 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 Bavakasha. Geshem, 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 Bavakasha. Still, it did not rain. That night, the rabbi went home, and he was sleeping soundly in his bed. When he had a dream. In his dream, a voice spoke to him. Rabbi, the only man who can make it rain is Jacob the shopkeeper. He sat up in his bed and he said, oh no, not Jacob the shopkeeper. He doesn't know any prayers at all. And he completely forgot about the dream. And the next day he came back to his congregation and the people said, Rabbi, I don't know how we can manage in this drought. He said, we must pray even harder. And so they prayed even harder. If you'd like to join me, here we go. The polite prayer. Geshem, 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 Bavakasha. Geshem, 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 Bavakasha. Still, it did not rain. That night, the rabbi was sound asleep in his bed when he had a visitor. Rabbi, the only person who could make it rain is Jacob, the shopkeeper. No way. There is just no way. He sat up in bed and he said, oh, another nightmare. He went back to the synagogue, and the people were waiting for the prayer. And he led them one more time. Dashem, 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 Bavakasha. Dashem, 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 Bavakasha. But still it did not rain. And that night, once again, he was sound asleep. He had a visitor. Rabbi, I wasn't kidding. I'm God after all. I see everything, and I know everything, and the truth is that the only person who can lead us in prayer is Jacob the shopkeeper. Next day, when the rabbi came to the synagogue, the people held up their hands in prayer, and the rabbi said, stop, stop, stop. There's only one person who can lead us in prayer, and that's right. It's you, Jacob the shopkeeper. And so we will wait for you to lead us in prayer. Jacob looked around and he said, me? Me? I don't know the prayers. I don't know what to do. Just do the best you can. I don't know the prayers. I've been faking all these years. I sit here in the congregation and I just want to say the just do the best you can. And so Jacob the shopkeeper, he left the synagogue, and he came back a few minutes later. He was carrying the heavy scales from his store, and he put them down on the beam. You know, God, I don't really know the prayers, and I really don't know what I'm supposed to do, but what I will say is that these are the scales of an honest man. And I want you to know that I live by the words of Torah. I am good to my family. I am good to my customers. I am good to my neighbors. And if this pleases you, could you please make it rain? And as the people sat in the congregation, suddenly they heard the sound of thunder. And then they heard the sound of rain. And it would be wonderful if we could all make a rainstorm, because this is something we can't do on Zoom. If everyone could just make the sound. And you can make it louder. And close your eyes and feel the rain. Isn't that wonderful? And you know, the people went home that day and they all adjusted. Well, those that had shops adjusted their scales just a little. And the mothers were a little bit more patient with the children. And teachers, they were a little more patient with their students. And everyone in that village decided how important it was to be kind and to live by the words of Torah. And from what I hear, the people never had a drought again. That is the end. So I challenge all of you to take heed to this story. And perhaps if we all live by the words of Torah, we will be able to end this drought. And instead of having a La Nina, we'll have an El Nino and have some rain. Would you like to hear another story? Okay. Okay. One day, one of Rabbi Akiva's students came running toward him. Rabbi, I'm wondering, why are you teaching Torah? Why are you teaching us? We must leave this place because the Romans are going to take us away. Please, Rabbi, come with me. Rabbi Akiva pulled on his long white beard, because when you have a long white beard, that's what you do, you pull on it. And he pulled on his beard, and he said to his student, I'd like to share with you a story as to why I continue to teach Torah, even though our times are so difficult now. Once, there was a school of fish, and they were swimming in the river. And as the fish were swimming in the river, along came a fox. And the fox stood at the edge of the river, and the fox looked at those fish. And as the fish swam by, the fox grew very hungry. And the fox, who was very clever, looked down at those fish and said, Fish, fish, I see that you are swimming down the river, but I would like to tell you a little secret. When you swim downriver, you are going to be swimming into the net of the fisherman, who is going to pull you out of the water and eat you for supper. But I, very clever fox, and I would like to offer you a solution. I would like for you to climb out of the water onto my back, and I will deliver you to safety. The fish stopped swimming, and they looked up at the fox. They began to speak. Fox, you look like stupid fish, but we're not. Like fish, live out of the water. You can try that at home. And the fish continued swimming down the river, and the fox said, Shucks, I just missed a great meal. And Rabbi Akiva pulled on his white beard one more time, because when you have a long white beard, that's what you do for the net. And he looked at his student, and he said, for the Jewish people, our Torah is like that river. Without it, we would not survive. And because of that, I will continue to teach. And so he did. I'm going to end with one other short story, but I wanted to show you something, because we just ended the holiday of Sukkot, and now we are moving into Simchat Torah. I wanted to show you how the bounty of harvest can produce beautiful music. So this instrument comes from Argentina. It's made out of a gourd, and that's the sound that it produces. This instrument is made out of the exact same gourd, and it comes from China. It's called a halusi. As you've heard, it makes a very different sound. These two instruments are made out of the same gourd, but they produce very different sounds, and they're just part of the bounty of our harvest. Even our harvest can make beautiful music. I'd like to end now with a story that reminds reminds us of the importance of Shabbat. Another teaching from our Torah. And the story goes like this. Moshe loved Fridays. Why? Because every Friday he went to the market to buy 3 things for Shabbat. He bought a nice fresh challah. And now I have to tell you that during COVID, I learned how to make really good challah. How many of you made a lot of challah during the lockdown? I'm in the process right now of learning how to make sourdough bread. Anyone learn how to make that? So a lot of people learn how to make, I might talk to you afterwards. I never made a successful challah until the COVID lockdown. My kids used to always say, you gotta go to the bakery to buy challah because yours is very dense and doesn't taste good, but I mastered challah. Anyway, that's a little aside. Moshe would buy challah, a couple of candles, a bottle of wine, and always a giant of grape juice. And so it was that one Friday, he was walking out of the market with all of the things he bought for Shabbat when he heard this sound. There on the street was a woman playing a saxophone. And he was so excited, he walked over to her and said, wow, I love that niggin. Will you teach it to me? She said, you know, I'd like to, but I'm a street musician. Maybe you can give me a little something? He put his hands in his pockets and they came out empty. And so he said, well, I could give you, he opened up his bag and took out a challah and he said, I could give you a challah. She said, oh, I love challah. I would be delighted. And she took the challah and she gave him the niggin. It goes like this. And he started to sing it like this, and I'd love it if you join me. La 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 la. Oh, come on, and everyone please join me. Here we go. La 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 la. He was heading for home with that niggin, and as he was walking, he was singing in a really big, loud voice, la 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 la. And as he was walking, he didn't notice that there was a rock in the middle of the road, and he fell over the rock flat on his face. And when he stood up and started singing, la la, he lost the niggin. So he went back to the market, and there she was. I'm so sorry, I lost the niggin. Will you teach it to me? She said, do you have something to trade? He said, yes. He opened up his bag and he took out the candles. And she said, I can already see the glow of Shabbos in my house. You got yourself a deal. She took the candle, she gave him the niggin. It goes like this. La 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 He headed for home singing that niggin, and as he was walking, he was singing in a big, loud voice, la la. And he wasn't watching where he was going, and there was a low-hanging branch of a tree, and he didn't notice it. La 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 la. Knocked the niggin right out of him. La la. He went back to the market. There she was. I'm so sorry to disturb you, but I lost the niggin. Will you teach it to me? She said, you know, I'd love to. Can you give me something? Wait, I've got something for you. He opened up his bag and he took out a bottle of wine. Lana Shevitz, year 2000 vintage, a collector's item, and a bottle of grape juice for the children. She said, what a deal. I'll give you the niggin. And she did. And he sang it all the way home like this. La 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 la. When he got home, he saw his wife standing on the front porch, and she said, Moshe, did get the things, you know, the things you always get at the market for Shabbos? I said, well, I did buy those things. I bought the challah and the candles and the wine and the grape juice, but I traded them in for something even better. And she looked at him and she said, you traded them in for what? He said, I traded them in for a niggin. And she listened to the niggin. And she liked it. Not only did she like it, she loved it. She taught it to their children who loved it so much. The following Monday, they went to school and they sang it to the teachers. They were no longer in a COVID lockdown or anything like this. They were back in school and they were able to sing it even though they were masked. And they sang it to all the teachers. And then the teachers were driving. They went on the freeway. They went on the 10 and the 101 and the 405. And as they were driving, they were singing it again outside the window and it got stuck into traffic. And then some of them decided it was a good idea to get onto some public transportation. So they got onto the metro, they got onto buses, they got onto airplanes, and they flew the niggin all over the whole world. They joined the entire world in song. And the next Shabbos, instead of celebrating with challah, a couple of candles, a bottle of wine, a jar of grape juice, the entire world celebrated with la 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 so much. Thank you, Rabbi, for inviting me to be here. And it was such a delight to end my 18-month stretch of no live audience with all of you as listeners. And I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad you all unmuted yourselves. It's so great to hear you and see you as well. Chag Sameach.
One more round of applause for Karen. Thank you. Thank you, Karen, for inspiring us with your Torah. For teaching us some Torah in this Erev Simchas Torah. Chag Sameach, everyone. Can everyone say Chag Sameach? Chag Sameach. This is Jamie, Gitai, Daphna, Rabbi Avi. Nice to be together. As Rabbi Feinstein said at the beginning of this evening, we are going to bring in Simchat Torah a little differently this year, as you might have noticed. But just because we can't dance in a circle and dance with the Torah, it doesn't mean that we can't bring in this holiday with so much joy as we have heard stories and learned. Now we can bring it in with our neshamot, with our ruach, with our spirit. And so if you want to stand and dance in your seat, if you want to pretend like you are holding on to the Torah, hold on to that Torah with all your heart, with all your soul. Clap along and sing along. I know these masks are restricted. That does for really putting our whole selves into something for the last 2 weeks. Let's try to step outside. Step outside our current comfort zone. To get into the music, to get into the spirit of the holiday. We're going to begin, and we're going to bring a different nigun. A different nigun, and let's sing it with that same vigor, that same joy as if we're about to walk into a bridge. Let's join together. No words, just a moment of breathing. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's in your mind. some favors. Are we feeling it yet? Are we feeling it? So many times the people of Israel gathered. They gathered together at Har Sinai. They gathered together by Akel. Moses' final moments. They believed that they were better together. They better gathered together as one. Hine Matovu Manayim Shevet Afim Gamachad. How great it is. How great it is to be together. To be here. To be together virtually if you're joining us virtually. Join us in singing Hine Matov together. If you want to stand up and dance, this is a good one to dance to. Here we go. Yeah. That's right. Put our hands together, just like that. Here we go. us al shlosha dvarim ha'olam omed. The world stands on three things: on Torah, on avodah, which we consider prayer or worship, on gmilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness. The rabbis teach that this is actually aspirational, that the world doesn't actually stand on that, but it is up to us to aspire to create a world that stands on our Torah, the Torah that each and every one of us brings into the world, on the prayers that we share together and we send out into the world, and into those acts of loving kindness that we spread. The Torah isn't just meant to be read, it's meant to be done. Take it and learn it. Take it, everything is in it, and then have it come out through our hands, through our feet, as Rabbi Shlomo us in his memory. Even Rabbi Essie taught us, as Rabbi Feinstein has continued to teach us. Shloshat dvarim. We're about to take out the Torah and to read it, to begin anew. There's a beautiful song called Return Again. Return again, return again. Return to the land of our soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. And yes, it's a song about this time of year as we think about returning to our best selves, but it's also a song about Torah, of returning again and again to it. And returning again and again to continue to allow it to impact our lives, to read it, and then to share it through our actions. Return again. The words are simple. Try and join along and sing with us. Return again, return again, return to the land of our soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of our soul. Return to who you are, return Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Come to the land of return again, return again, turn to the land of your soul. Every side, I share every side, I share every side, in the day. I share every side, I share every side, I share every side, in the day. Return again, turn to the land of your soul. Together. Return again, return again, turn to the land of your soul. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Talman is with us tonight. We are so grateful to have you.
Craig was my teacher when I was 12 years old. He basically raised me musically. So the fact that he's here tonight, I don't know what to say. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. And I thank God he's too, since he sang in his bar mitzvah.
Faking it more than you are, it sounds like. All right, we're going to do something inspired by you, Karen. I haven't seen you so long. You just get better with age. But I need you to take out that halusi. I just bought one on eBay while she was playing that. I said, what the heck is that? And everybody needs to shake their halusi right now, okay? You only can play it in C, is that correct? That's, I have no idea. Whatever key you're playing in, that's the key we're going to do. Everybody stand up, please. Thank you. I'm going to move up. Come on. Okay. I just want to I don't know what we're doing over, so that makes like a lot of us right now. Okay. Come here. Okay, everybody go like this with halusi faces. I don't really care what you do with your hands, just give me a hum. Beautiful. I learned this in 1978 in Algonquin Park in Canada. And it was out in the native area where the Native Americans, that's part of America, is Canada. Okay? And this Native American scout came to us and he said, who are you? We jokingly said, we are the Chumash Jewish. And he was inspired. He said, let me teach you something. He taught us this. He went like this, put your hands out.
France.
So these young ones, they didn't matter what they were saying. They didn't care. Because they just thought it was cool. And we said to the scout, what does it mean? And he said like this. It basically, Shema Yisrael and Elohim Echad. We didn't say that, but he said, we are one. We're one with the sun. We're one with the moon, we're one with the earth, we are one. And like all of our kids in Makashimim said, Shema. Try it. Kaote, Reina, Reina, Maote. Hayano, Hayano, Hayano. Kaote, Kaote, Reina, Reina, Maote. Hayano, Hayano. Hayano, Hayano, Hayano. Now this is the secret, because we're going to end with this, okay? One does not happen from out. Oh, I have to be on here. I forgot. One does not happen from outside. One comes from inside. So we are a lot of people, or not so many people, but in a big space. We have to think as one. So take a step in if you feel comfortable and safe. Take a step up. Bring up your volume a little. Just as one with your hand, just no singing. Just our voices going like this. Great joy in celebrating Torah. How many people celebrate the beginning of reading the book every year? Greater joy for me to be here with Rabbi Constantine. Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach. Let's just end with your hallucin.
Witness the end of the book and the beginning of it. So everyone take one step forward, take one step forward. Hold up your pinky, kiss the Torah. Ready? Baruch et Adonai Torah.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Together,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
ראשית ברא אלוהים את השמיים ואת הארץ, והארץ הייתה תוהו ובוהו ורוח אלוהים על פני תהום. ורוח אלוהים מרחפת על פני המים, ויאמר אלוהים יהי אור ויהי אור, וירא אלוהים את האור כי טוב, ויבדל אלוהים בין האור ובין החושך, ויקרא אלוהים לאור יום לחושך קרא לילה, ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר, יום אחד. Kiss the Torah again together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Yishiberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. Hu yivarech et kol eile שעלו לכבוד המקום, לכבוד החג ולכבוד התורה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור עליהם וישלח להם הצלחה, ברכה בכל מעשה ידיהם וכל ישראל לכם ונאמר אמן. May the source of all who came before us bless and protect those who have stood for this aliyah. May God grant them renewal as we begin the Torah and we begin a new year. May the new year bring many, many blessings. And together we say Amen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
V'kiyamanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh.
Blessed is God who has given us days and renewal and enabled to see this wonderful Chag, this wonderful holiday.
Let's do it together as we sing Chef Yanu. If you want to put your hands around, your arms around the people that came with. You're on your own. Feel all of us embracing all of us. Chef Yanu together.
שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם. שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Thank you to Karen Golden for beautiful stories and wonderful sex. Thank you to our band tonight, to the Dr. the people, and the Jordan. Thank you to special guest Craig Delman. Thank you to Alana Zimmerman, to Jacqueline, and to Robin who put all of this together for us. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who came tonight. And can you imagine it's actually cold in Encino? I just remember this because it's going back to being desert the day after tomorrow. So just hold on to this feeling for just one more minute and we'll say a prayer for the night. A prayer for protection and peace and for renewal in the rain.
Written by Craig Taubman.
This is Craig's Ashkenazi. Oh, he's coming up. Yes. The words are ancient. Yes.
Know it? I wrote it.
That's right.
I know it. I wrote it.
Ilana, you've got
Is that Rabbi Farkas there too? Feinstein, is that Rabbi Farkas?
No, it's the younger one. South Farkas. Rabbi Farkas. He's not here. Yes, he's here. He was one of the Torah.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he suddenly joined.
Yes.
Actually, he's the younger. He's also a rabbi.
Yes, that's Rabbi Avi from the Daysman.
He wasn't here earlier. He went around with the Torah.
Lana's crying.
my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So only negativity surrounds. I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and the children will say one day, 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 one day.
We're thinking of on his own and put that us to him. Jackie was here helping us out this evening. Jackie. Thanks so much.